Indo-Aryan or Indic peoples are an ethno-linguistic group referring to the wide collection of peoples united as native speakers of the Indo-Aryan branch of the Indo-Iranian language family, and is in turn a member of the larger Indo-European language family. Today, there are over 1 billion native speakers of Indo-Aryan languages, most of them native to South Asia, where they form the majority. Origins. Earliest migrations. The first people to have settled in India during Paleolithic times appear to have been an Australoid group who may have been closely related to Aboriginal Australians. From a genetic anthropological point of view, the research of Basu et al. Indicates that there is an underlying unity of female lineages in India, indicating that the initial number of female settlers may have been small. The tribal and the caste populations are highly differentiated. The Austroasiatic Tribals are the earliest settlers in India, providing support to one anthropological hypothesis while refuting some others. A major wave of humans entered India through the northeast. The Tibeto-Burman tribals share considerable genetic commonalities with the Austroasiatic Tribals, supporting the hypothesis that they may have shared a common habitat in southern China, but the two groups of tribals can be differentiated on the basis of Y-chromosomal haplotypes. The Dravidian tribals were possibly widespread throughout India before the arrival of the Indo-European speaking nomads, but retreated to southern India to avoid dominance. Formation of populations by fission that resulted in founder and drift effects have left their imprints on the genetic structures of contemporary populations. The upper castes show closer genetic affinities with Central Asian populations, although those of southern India are more distant than those of northern India. Historical gene flow into India has contributed to a considerable obliteration of genetic histories of contemporary populations so that there is at present no clear congruence of genetic and geographical or sociocultural affinities. Indo-Aryan language. The separation of Indo-Aryans proper from Indo-Iranians is commonly dated, on linguistic grounds, to roughly 1800 BCE. The Nuristani languages probably split in such early times, and are classified as either remote Indo-Aryan dialects or as an independent branch of Indo-Iranian. By the mid-2nd millennium BCE, early Indo-Aryans had reached Assyria in the west and the northern Punjab in the east. The spread of Indo-Aryan languages has been connected with the spread of the chariot in the first half of the 2nd millennium BCE. Some scholars trace the Indo-Aryans back to the Andronovo culture. Other scholars have argued that the Andronovo culture proper formed too late to be associated with the Indo-Aryans of India, and that no actual traces of the Andronovo culture have been found in India and southern countries like Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Bactria-Euro-Margiana Archaeological Complex. Archaeologist J. P. Mallory finds it extraordinarily difficult to make a case for expansions from this northern region to northern India, and remarks that the proposed migration routes only get the Indo-Iranian to Central Asia, but not as far as the seats of the Medes, Persians or Indo-Aryans. Therefore he prefers to derive the Indo-Aryans from the intermediate stage of the Bactria-Euro-Margiana archaeological complex culture, in terms of a cultural model of expansion. Likewise, Asco-Popula connects the Indo-Aryans to the BMAC. But although horses were known to the Indo-Aryans, evidence for their presence in the form of horse bones is missing in the BMAC. Popula has argued that the Tsars were the carriers of the Bronze Age culture of Greater Iran living in the BMAC and that the forts with circular walls destroyed by the Indo-Aryans were actually located in the BMAC. Popula elaborates the model and as Proto-Rig Vedic Indo-Aryans intrude the BMAC around 1700 BCE. He assumes early Indo-Aryan presence in the late Harappan horizon from about 1900 BCE, and Proto-Rig Vedic intrusion to the Punjab as corresponding to the Swat culture from about 1700 BCE. Recently Leo Clegg proposed a hypothesis of linking the earliest stage of Indo-Aryan peoples with the Catacomb culture. Indo-Aryan superstratum Mitanni. Some theonyms, proper names and other terminology of the Mitanni exhibit an Indo-Aryan superstrate, suggesting that an Indo-Aryan elite imposed itself over the Hurrian population in the course of the Indo-Aryan expansion. In a treaty between the Hittites and the Mitanni, the deities Mitra, Varuna, Indra, and Nisatya are invoked. Kikuli's horse training text includes technical terms such as Acre, Tira, Panzer, Satyr, Naur, Vartana. The numeral Acre-1 is of particular importance because it places the superstrate in the vicinity of Indo-Aryan proper as opposed to Indo-Iranian or early Iranian in general. Another text is Babru, NNU, Parata, NNU, and Pinkara, NNU. Their chief festival was the celebration of the solstice, which was common in most cultures in the ancient world. The Mitanni warriors were called Maya, the term for warrior in Sanskrit as well. Note Maya NNU payment. Sanskritic interpretations of Mitanni names render Artash Humera as Artasmera, who thinks of Arta Uta the first Shta, Biridashva as Prata Angstrom Va, whose horse is deer, Priya Mazda as Priyamadar, whose wisdom is deer, Citrarata as Citraraltha, whose chariot is shining, Indaruda and Ayuta as Indraota helped by Indra, Shatavasa as Sartiva winning the race prize, Angstrom Bandhu as Spandu having good relatives, Tushrata as Tata the first Aya Aratha, Vedic Vita the first pound Aratha, whose chariot is vehement. Vedic period. An influx of early Indo-Aryan speakers over the Hindu Kush together with late Harappan cultures gave rise to the Vedic civilization of the early Iron Age. This civilization is marked by a continual shift to the east, first to the Gangetic plain with the Kuras and Panchalas, and further east with the Kosala and Vidha. This Iron Age expansion corresponds to the black and red ware and painted grey ware cultures. For Hellenistic Times, Oleg Entrobatrev suggests that there were Indo-Aryan speakers in the Pontic steppe. The Meotes and the Signs, the latter also known as Indoi, and described by Hesychius as an Indian people. Middle Ages. The various Prakrit vernaculars developed into independent languages in the course of the Middle Ages, forming the Abhata group in the east and the Hindustani group in the west. The Romani people are believed to have left India around 1000 CE. Contemporary Indo-Aryan peoples. Contemporary Indo-Aryans are spread over most of the northern, western, central and eastern regions of the Indian subcontinent, Hyderabad in southern India, and in most parts of Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Non-native speakers of Indo-Aryan languages also reach the south of the peninsula. The largest groups are the Hindi, Bengali and Punjabi or Hindi-Urdu speakers of India. Bangladesh and Pakistan number more than 500 million native speakers, constituting the largest community of speakers of any of the Indo-European languages. Of the 23 national languages of India, 16 are Indo-Aryan languages. Genetic Anthropology. A study headed by geneticist Zetzel al. Based on an analysis of 32 Y-chromosomal markers in 560 North Indian males collected from 3 higher caste groups and 2 Muslims groups were genotyped, found that a substantial part of today's North Indian paternal gene pool was contributed by Central Asian lineages who were Indo-European speakers, suggesting that extant Indian caste groups are primarily the descendants of Indo-European migrants. An increasing number of studies have found South Asia to have the highest level of diversity of YST or haplotype variation within R1A1A, such as those of Kivasild al., Marabel al. And Sharma al. However, studies based on YST or haplotype variation have been recently criticized as being inaccurate and highly unreliable because the results are often affected by which markers are consciously chosen for analysis. In a 2011 study examining the effects of microsatellite choice and Y-chromosomal variation, the authors conclude. Subsequently, we suggest that most STR-based Y-chromosome dates are likely to be underestimates due to the molecular characteristics of the markers commonly used, such as their mutation rate and the range of potential alleles that STR can take, which potentially leads to a loss of time linearity. As a consequence, we update the STR-based age of important nodes in the Y chromosome tree, showing that credible estimates for the age of lineages can be made once these STR characteristics are taken into consideration. Finally, we show that the STRs that are most commonly used to explore deep ancestry are not able to uncover ancient relationships, and we propose a set of STRs that should be used in these cases. Sengupta et al. In their 2006 paper in the American Journal of Human Genetics say that our overall inference is that an early Holocene expansion in northwestern India contributed a 1A1M17 chromosomes both to the Central Asian and South Asian tribes. The haplotype dating methodology employed by the Sen-Gupta paper is based on the evolutionarily effective mutation rate for Y-chromosomal STR loci, a method which has been severely criticized by Balanovsky et al. According to these researchers, who compare both the accuracy and reliability of the Tsyvotovsky evolutionary mutation rate with the genealogical rate. We found that evolutionary estimates of most clusters fall far outside the range of the respective linguistic dates, while genealogical estimates gave a good fit with the linguistic dates. At least 2 population events in the Caucasus are documented archaeologically, which allows additional comparison with these historical dates. In both cases, the historical date is similar to a genetic estimate based on the genealogical mutation rate. The latest research conducted by Watkins et al. Also reject the Sen-Gupta study, but only because of the stochasticity of uniparental markers which may have been affected by natural selection. They also argue for the need to analyze autosomal polymorphisms in addition to both Y-chromosomal and mitochondrial DNA in order to generate a comprehensive picture of population genetic structure. The authors of the study write, "The historical record documents an influx of Vedic Indo-European speaking immigrants into northwest India starting at least 3,500 years ago. These immigrants spread southward and eastward into an existing agrarian society dominated by Dravidian speakers. With time, a more highly structured patriarchal caste system developed. Our data are consistent with a model in which nomadic populations from northwest and central Eurasia intercalated over millennia into an already complex, genetically diverse set of subcontinental populations. As these populations grew, mixed, and expanded, a system of social stratification likely developed in situ, spreading to the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and then southward over the Deccan Plateau. Reich et al. Indicates that the modern Indian population is a result of admixture between Indo-European and Dravidian populations. The authors of the study write, "It is tempting to assume that the population ancestral to ANI and CEU spoke Proto-Indo-European, which has been reconstructed as ancestral to both Sanskrit and European languages, although we cannot be certain without a date for ANI-Euro-ASI mixture. Recent research indicates a massive admixture event between ANI-ASI populations 3,500 to 1,200 years ago. List of Indo-Aryan peoples, historical, contemporary, see also, Arya, Aryan, Aryan race, Aryavata, Indo-Aryan migration, Indo-Aryan languages, Proto-Indo-Europeans, Iranian peoples, Dasa, Kshatriya, notes. References, Bryant, Edwin. The Quest for the Origins of Vedic Culture. Oxford University Press. ISBN A0-19-513777-9. Mallory, J.P. 1998. A European Perspective on Indo-Europeans in Asia. In the Bronze Age and Early Iron Age Peoples of Eastern and Central Asia. Ed. Meyer. Washington, D.C., Institute for the Study of Man. Trubatchov, Oleg N., 1999, Indo-Arika, Nauka, Moscow. External links, Horseplayer Tarapa, People Faz Harvard, Harvard University, A Tale of Two Horses, Frontline.